Hello, today is Wednesday. It is August the 1st. The reading for today comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 2. In the chapter, both 1 and 2 are full of Paul trying to convince the Corinthians that there is a truth to follow, even though it might seem different from the world's standards. In fact, that's the verse I picked from chapter 2, verse 12 says, "But God has given us His Spirit. That's why we don't think the same way the people of this world think. That's also why we can recognize the blessings that God has given us." I am very mindful of the fact that there are many times, it might be an exaggeration, but a number of times in which I am talking about things happening on earth and what should happen, values-driven conversations, and what I think is so very different than other people. Now, part of it is because I'm different than other people, so I can end up with different conclusions, certainly. But often I think it leads directly to the Christian kingdom values that I believe Jesus wants me and anyone who is following Him to live. And Paul in Corinthians says to the Colossians, the wisdom of God is not like the wisdom of the world. We think differently than they do. He says the salvation story is a curse to the Jews, and it's foolishness to the Gentiles. And I fully agree that there are times when I have talked about the gospel story with someone who was not a believer, and to them it just seemed foolishness. That God would come to earth. What a fantastic concept. That Jesus came to correct our thinking about God and to connect us with God. Just doesn't think that way. That our innate values are not necessarily in line and we need a transformation. Just doesn't buy it. And that leads to the implications of these things. Like, for example, if God loves me and loves the whole world, then it's my job to serve the world. If God loves everyone as much as He loves me, then I am no better than anyone else. I have no more right to His blessing. I have no more, and I have plenty of responsibility in using the blessings I do have for the world, not just for my family. So I just really relate to this idea that those of us who follow Jesus and incorporate His values into our life, we think differently than the world. And we just have to be ready for that. And we have to be ready to sometimes call stupid or idiotic because our ideas don't match theirs, or ridiculed maybe, perhaps. We should never take offense at it. We should never be aggressively against or angry when they do that. It is just that with Jesus in our life, we think differently. We choose differently. And it is our job to live out this growing Jesus in us part of our life. Later in the Corinthians, Paul will say we are like treasures, jars having a treasure inside that you really don't notice when you look on the outside. Our job is to live out the treasure of the wisdom of God's Spirit that He has put in us. That's my challenge for the week. Hope perhaps that you feel challenged about that as well, and that you'll move forward in thinking like Jesus this week.